Super Mario Bros. 3, a necessity for gracious living.
At its time of release, Super Mario Bros. 3 would blow gamers' minds by delivering the most polished 2D side-scrolling experience in history. Offering up smooth gameplay and stunning graphics for an NES title, Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka's game was a giant leap forward in game design. Exploring the game's 8 kingdoms spread across world maps, in this impressive affair Mario could now take advantage of a tremendous amount of different power-ups, even gaining the ability to grab a leaf and take to the skies. The variety this one brought to the table was insane, so it is no wonder that Super Mario Bros. Quickly became the highest-selling non-bundled video game of all time, successfully holding that record right up until 2013. With a title that sold that well on the NES, one group of American programmers, who are now considered legendary, I may add, would decide in 1990 to make a port of the game to run on IBM-compatible PCs, a feat that no one even knew was possible at the time. For many decades, no one outside of those within the industry had ever seen this lost conversion running with their own eyes, with evidence of its existence being purely anecdotal. Fortunately for us lucky people, all of this has now changed. So in today's video, let's discuss the miraculous development process behind this technical marvel and its resurfacing and continued relevance many years later. So without further ado,
I am Lady Decade, and this is the story of the Super Mario Bros. 3 PC port, a game that was buried for over 30 years.
Let's start today's tale from what would seem like a rather unlikely place: the release of Doom. This fantastic first-person shooter would help pioneer the genre forward for all others that were to come. Doom enthralled gamers with its 3D graphics, third-dimension spatiality, networked multiplayer gameplay, and atmospheric action, leading to the Doom series selling over 10 million copies. Created by John Carmack, John Romero, Adrian Carmack, Kevin Cloud and Tom Hall of id Software, the 1993 title is now considered legendary. But before Doom became one of the most beloved games in history, some members of this same team were pulling off other impressive feats, including porting some of the stages from Super Mario Bros. 3 over to the PC. While all of this occurred as far back as 1990, the process of why this happened and how it was pulled off is spoken about in detail within Masters of Doom by David Kushner, a book that documents the story of id Software and its influence on pop culture, focusing on the video game company's co-founders John Carmack and John Romero. Before founding id Software, creating Doom, or even working on the Super Mario Bros. 3 port, the pair met at SoftDisk in 1989. This Louisiana-based software firm's products included Gamer's Edge, a monthly disc magazine product started by Romero. The small group who worked on Gamer's Edge would soon include the Carmacks and Hall, but the software often lacked quality due to the 1-month time constraint on releases. Later, a decision was made to make the magazine bi-monthly, so that the team could have double the time to plan and experiment with their games.
But where does Super Mario Bros. 3 fit into all of this?
According to Masters of Doom, while working on Gamer's Edge, a goal would be established for Romero and John Carmack to pursue their vision of making a big game from scratch every 2 months. Carmack would be in charge of the game's engine, whereas Romero would handle the game's design and software tools. During this ongoing process, Carmack became obsessed with scrolling in video games, particularly after witnessing the sales success of Super Mario Bros. 3, noting that no one had figured out yet how to scroll games effectively on a PC. What was on the market was crude by comparison, which was due to the speed of PCs, but Carmack was determined to find a way to work around such an issue. Soon, Carmack would look to one of his past creations, the Catacomb, a game that included an effect whereby the screen moves in one big strip at a time. This technique is known as tile-based scrolling, but he wanted to achieve something that looked way more subtle than this. This was difficult because PCs were slow and couldn't redraw a whole screen for small movements.
But then, he had a Eureka moment!
Masters of Doom documents that Carmack Imagined looking at a computer screen that showed a character running to the right underneath a big blue sky. If that character ran far enough, a white puffy cloud would eventually pass from off-screen over his head. The computer created this effect in a very crude way. It would redraw every little blue pixel on the entire screen, starting at the top left corner and making its way over and down, one pixel at a time, even though the only thing that was changing in the sky was the white puffy cloud. The computer couldn't intuit a shortcut to this drudgery just because a shortcut made sense. To circumvent such an issue, Carmack would write a clever code capable of duping his PC into thinking, for example, that the 7 tiles from the left were the first on screen. Furthermore, Carmack instructed the computer to draw a strip of extra tiles on the right edge of the screen to store in its memory. This allowed this section to appear on screen without the slow PC needing to redraw it.
Finally, Carmack had made smooth Mario Brothers style side-scrolling possible on a PC.
Tom Hall, who also worked on Gamer's Edge, instantly realised that Super Mario Bros. 3 for PC was now possible, and only they knew how to pull it off. In a state of almost euphoria after discovering they could do this, Hall proposed they recreate the first level of Super Mario Bros. 3 that very same evening. Tom would recreate every tile that appeared within the first stage, but for PC, copying every last detail by repeatedly pausing the NES they had in the office to study each screen. Amusingly, everything was recreated except for Mario himself, instead opting to use a stock character he had previously produced known as Dangerous Dave. By 5:30 the following day, the team were done, with Tom and Adrian concluding their hard work by saving it to disk. Romero would arrive at work the following day and play a game titled Dangerous Dave in Copyright Infringement, a name poking fun at the fact that the team had recreated one of Nintendo's most famous stages. Masters of Doom documents, Romero tapped his arrow key, moved Dave along the floor, and watched him scroll smoothly across the screen. That's when he lost it. Romero could hardly breathe. He just sat in his chair with his fingers on the keys, scrolling Dave back and forth along the landscape, trying to see if anything was wrong, if somehow this wasn't really happening, if Carmack had not just figured out how to do exactly what the Nintendo could do, if he had not done what every other gamer in the universe had wanted to do, to break through, to do for PCs what Mario was doing for consoles.
What a crazy story.
As it would anyone, Dangerous Dave in Copyright Infringement blew Romero's mind, and he was so shell-shocked by the effort, he was glued to his seat for the rest of the day. When Carmack returned to the office, Romero told him, "This is it, we're gone." What Romero was alluding to was that this was a significant enough achievement with enough potential that he and the rest of the team could all leave Soft Disk and make their own company, as they had recreated what was the best-selling video game in the world, but for PC. A decision would quickly be made to create more levels for Super Mario Bros. 3 for PC, then give the demo to Nintendo to get a deal with the Japanese company to get them to publish the title. Still, a few vast obstacles were standing in the team's way, one being Soft Disk, whom they didn't want to know about their breakthrough, so it would be decided that they would only work on the game in their free time. While sounding great in theory, none of the team had the computers at home capable of working on such a task. So to circumvent this, the team would take their office computers home for the weekend. After all, it's not stealing if you only borrow something and give it back. To prepare for the mission, they had pre-recorded Super Mario Bros. 3 gameplay on VHS, which they would study by repeatedly pausing during their weekends off work. For 72 hours straight, no one slept, surviving on pizza deliveries and caffeinated fizzy drinks. The mission would be accomplished and a letter would be sent to Nintendo with a copy of the demo, requesting they license Super Mario Bros. 3 for PC.
So from here, all the team could do was wait.
A few weeks would pass until finally Romero and company would get a response from the Big N, with them essentially replying to them that their work was excellent. Still, Nintendo had zero interest in releasing Super Mario Bros. 3 for the PC market, as they were perfectly happy with being the world market leaders in console gaming. While slightly deflated from all of this, the team knew that after being able to produce this Super Mario Bros. 3 demo, it was far from the end of the road for them, and they needed to put their newly acquired skills to good use. This would result in a period whereby they would all continue to work for Softdisk, but would also continue to take the computers home every weekend to work on a much bigger personal project in their own time. They would work virtually every day and night for 3 months straight.
But what would be the new product they came up with?
Born from the ashes of the Super Mario Bros. 3 PC port, the team would create a series of games known as Commander Keen. The series follows Keen, the secret identity of the 8-year-old genius named Billy Blaze, as he defends Earth and the galaxy from alien threats with his homemade spaceship, ray guns, and pogo stick. For the first time, PC owners had access to a game that contained smooth scrolling, just like on an NES. The trilogy, released by Apogee, was lauded for its graphical achievement and humorous style. By June 1991, the game was bringing in over $60,000 per month, and its success would lead to id Software being formally founded. Commander Keen now has a strong legacy in its own right, often receiving praise as the first ever PC game with a Nintendo feel, varying wildly from your average PC game of the time. PC World referred to it as one of the most spectacular games available, and praised the superb sound and graphics. This is undoubtedly a cool twist to this whole story, with, as we know, this very same team going on to create Doom. Not a game you would expect to come into existence from the butterfly effect of Super Mario Bros. 3 being ported to PC.
But speaking of this once mysterious port, it would crop up again in 2015.
While gamers had heard about this porting before from books such as Masters of Doom, many years later, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Commander Keen, the general public would get their first ever glimpse of the fabled Mario 3 PC port. Romero would finally upload footage of the game in action, showing off the block-by-block recreation of the first stage from one of the best-selling video games of all time. In addition, the demo shows off a few original stages that the id team designed, finally bringing footage of the missing chapter in gaming history out into the open. This is a fantastic effort considering it was mostly made over just one weekend. The team could have easily replicated the entire game if given the money and resources. Still, this story is not over yet, as one more chapter took place as recently as 2021, whereby the strong National Museum of Play in Rochester, New York received a copy of this coveted demo.
Wow.
The Museum of Play digital games curator Andrew Borman states the demo was found inconspicuously within an extensive collection of donated software. As for the donator, Borman reveals they were a game developer, but they didn't work on the Mario Bros. 3 port. To make this all the more exciting, Borman played levels 1 to 4 of the game, a stage that not even Romero showed to the public during his 2015 reveal. In an interview with Ars Technica, Borman states the demo will be available on request to researchers and other parties with a relevant interest. But there are no current plans to exhibit the game, but there may be opportunities in the future. Concluding, our preservation work focuses not only on the research needs of today, but also how researchers decades from now, some who may not even be born yet, will access material. Proper climate-controlled storage helps to preserve those physical artifacts, especially when materials like plastic degrades over time. We are also building out our digital preservation capabilities, allowing us to preserve the many forms of media that we find, including the various cartridge and optical mediums. While the demo here really represents a week or less of work, knowing now how important id Software would become, it is an interesting what-if of game history. It's fun to think about how the company could have changed had it formed a relationship with Nintendo. The fact that the Super Mario Bros. 3 story and the creation of Doom are so intrinsically intertwined is quite astonishing, resulting in what, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting and unique stories in gaming history. If you enjoyed this video, you would probably enjoy my video on the lost version of Super Mario World from 1989. Make sure you all subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon.